Hey there, everyone, and welcome to Pour and Explore, a wine, food, and travel podcast. I'm your host, Nick Elliott, the wine guy. I'd love to be your go-to guide for all things wine, food, and the amazing places they take us. Here on Pour and Explore, we'll sip, savor, and wander through the exciting world of wine, discuss incredible cuisines, and uncover the stories behind unforgettable destinations. Each week, I'll bring you lively conversations with wine experts, chefs, travel pros, and fellow enthusiasts. We'll share practical tips, hilarious tales, and plenty of inspiration to fuel your next adventure. So grab a glass, pull up a chair, and join me as we pour, explore, and celebrate the good life. Let's dive in. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Pour and Explore. I'm your host, Nick Elliott, and I am your go-to wine wingman for all things travel, food, and fermented grape juice. Today's guest is someone I instantly clicked with. She's smart, she's hilarious, she's wildly successful in the digital space, and has one of the most refreshing takes on business and life that I've heard in a while. Her name is Kristina Rowland, and you are about to fall in love with her energy and her passion. Kristina is a content strategist. She is a powerhouse behind the camera and a self-described, very unlikely entrepreneur. She built her first six-figure business with grit, with networking, and a whole lot of Pinterest quotes, no joke. And today she runs a successful social media agency and travels the world filming for high-level clients, and somehow manages to do it all while raising three kids who are more travel savvy than most adults I know. But in this episode, it isn't just about business, although, spoiler alert, we are going to leave here with at least one idea for a six-figure side hustle. It's also about lifestyle design, building the kind of life that lets you be present with your family, create meaningful work, and yes, sip coffee on the beach in Galveston, Texas, while your kids play professional mermaids in the waves. Today, we're going to talk about how she's turned social media into her ticket to freedom, why you shouldn't recreate the 9-to-5 prison in your own business, very important, and how ordering Starbucks from the TSA line might just change your travel game forever. It's a fun story. And whether you're an entrepreneur, a parent, a content creator, or someone who's just curious about what it would look like to work from anywhere, Kristina's story is the real deal. I can promise you that. We're also going to geek out about German bakeries, micro trips with kids, and the absolute audacity of letting your child blast their iPad in a restaurant. Don't get me started. Just don't get me started. So pour yourself something good, maybe a crisp Riesling in honor of our guest's favorite travel destination and one of mine, and get ready to pour and explore what the one and the only Kristina Rowland. All right, Kristina, thank you so much for joining us today. So happy to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I just gave you a great intro there. You've got a lot going on, and this is going to be a fun-filled 30 minutes of some very cool stuff. Let's talk about some travel. You travel for work, right?
I do
Absolutely.
sometimes, yeah, I get to travel for work, which is really nice.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I am a very unlikely entrepreneur. I was very much supposed to be part of corporate, got thrown out of there kicking and screaming, which is another story for another time. And definitely not enough wine for that yet. But when I was thinking about what I'm going to do for work, how I'm going to support my family, how I'm going to have creative outlet and things like that, I made a list of non-negotiables. I wasn't going to be staring at the same four walls every day. And I wasn't going to have to ask for permission to take off time to hang out and travel and do things with my kids and my husband. Wasn't going to do that. And I was like, well, and if I don't want to have to ask off, I also kind of want to be able to go wherever it is that I want to go. And understanding that there are some opportunities that allow you to travel for work instead of just working to travel.
Hmm.
Like that sounded really interesting too. And so it was a little bit by design, but it was a lot that I built a reputation for myself, and I started getting clients in other zip codes. I'm from Colorado. So
Hmm.
that led to some mountain travel. It's like, oh, well, let's do a little mountain getaway to Vail or Aspen or anywhere but Denver. And then that evolved into different states, and then eventually clients in different countries. And so that's when it gets really fun, when you have them in not just different time zones but different passport stamps, like you need a visa to get there. I'm like, yes, this is
Yes.
this is great. And so it was just kind of like an evolution over time, where I provided a good service, people told other people about it or saw the results, and I got invited from a lot of different places.
That's amazing. I mean, you started off writing the, entrepreneur's vision board right there. I don't want to be told where to go. I don't want to have to ask permission. These are all things that as entrepreneurs, going into business for ourselves and digital nomad and, all of that stuff, these are things that we live, so I love that you said that. And I know a lot of my listeners, their little spidey sense are going to go off for that. Absolutely.
Yeah. I always thought it was really unfortunate. I saw a lot of entrepreneurs who, because of habit or comfort or familiarity, they built 9 to 5s
Yeah.
as their entrepreneurial business. It looked almost exactly the same. And
Yeah.
that's a very interesting dichotomy when you are both the jailer and the prisoner at the same time, right? At least in your 9 to 5, you get to blame the boss and they get to be the bad guy in the situation. But when you recreate your 9 to 5 as an entrepreneur, you're both like, I have full creative control here. Why am I not creating something that I like better?
Absolutely.
And that
Absolutely.
mindset has really, really helped me a lot along the journey, I think.
Most definitely. I talk a lot about comfort zones on this show, and that is another facet of comfort zone that people need to realize. Going into entrepreneurship, opening your own business, it's all about being able to create it the way that you want to create it. And I know exactly what you're talking about. So many of us fall back into that lifestyle. I have to do it this way. My customers are only going to be available between 9 and 5, and that kind of thing, which absolutely isn't true. It's definitely not true. You talked a little bit about how you're doing it. Your job is content creation. You're out
Yeah.
there helping folks, be stars on the internet through photography, videography. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I had a regular brick and mortar business. That was my first go into entrepreneurship. And I spent so much money on the brick and mortar that I had
Mhm.
nothing left over for advertising or marketing or
Yep.
any of this kind of stuff. And so I did two things. I was at every single networking event
Yes.
within a 50-mile radius of my house, the ones at 7 o'clock in the morning
Hmm.
and the mixers at 7 o'clock at night. So I did that, and I would talk about my business on social media. Now, this was back when you could get an inspiring image, like an inspirational quote off of Pinterest, and post that on your Facebook page, and 17 appointments showed up. Like,
Yep.
this was the absolute gold rush of social media, but that changed over time. It evolved. You had to get, it's
Hmm.
gotten more sophisticated since then. And I built a multi six-figure business that was only off of the networking and social media. And eventually, after COVID, it was just social media because the networking went away. That is how I learned how to do that process. And because I was doing so much networking, and at the time it was a finance company, so it was like life
Hmm.
insurance and investments, and nobody wants to talk about that. It is like literally the most boring thing in the world to talk about. Everybody should have it, please, like asterisks, but
Yes.
boring is all get out. Like even I don't want to talk about that. And so when it came time to talk about business and things like that, everybody gets a 5-minute presentation every 45 weeks. You know how it is at the networking things. I would
Yep.
always talk about social media. I would always talk about the things that I was doing on social media. And that was just way more well received, which led to people asking, like, how do you do that? So I stumbled into, again, very unlikely entrepreneur, I stumbled into a social media consulting agency
Wow.
where I would help people kind of, hey, your brand needs this, or you need to talk to an ideal client. You're posting just to post. Nobody cares about your widget. They want to know what it'll do for them. Please tell them what it'll do for them. From that perspective, I got invited to do a lot more higher end consultative work where it was, would you please run my social media for me? Please come to this event. I like how you take pictures. I like how your videos look. And that's what it has evolved into a lot more now, where I get flown across the world. I get the accommodations paid for,
Right.
paid to be there, and I just get to play on my phone all day. It's a lot of, like, there are a lot of worse ways to go about things
A
than
100%.
all of that.
We talk about digital entrepreneurship and, being your own boss. And I mean, you're someone who went out there and just grabbed it and ran with it. That is absolutely fantastic. Love that.
I do too. I've loved it quite a bit, and it gave me a lot of freedom, especially I know COVID was hard for a lot of people
Yeah.
financially. It was not for us. Bless up that it
Yeah.
was not,
Yeah.
and it was because I was already in the digital space so much. And
Yeah.
so when things switched from in person to the digital space, it's a really safe frontier now. I didn't know it at the time back in, 2016, 2017, 2018, but it is some of the most stable ground that there is out there as an entrepreneur is the digital space.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And another PSA, for those listening out there, we've been talking about networking, and I cannot say enough how important networking is to an
Mhm.
entrepreneur. And are there in-person opportunities now to do that? 100%. Look at your local area, chambers of commerce, tourism boards, meetups, BMI, BNI,
BNI.
BNI,
Yep.
BNI,
Business
BNI.
Networking International.
Exactly. Yeah. These are all opportunities for you to meet other people, just like Christina did, in a very one on one way, of doing it, an in person way of doing it. But I would also say there are thousands of opportunities to network online as well. And there's a platform called alignable.com that I love because I get to meet people from all over the country, all over North America, all over the world that I would not have met without that platform. LinkedIn, of course, I mean, we could go on for hours, but network, network, network is what I'm trying to say. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to get out there and meet people.
Yeah. And the way that I looked at it is I'm just a professional friend maker.
Yes.
Like, as an entrepreneur, I'm a professional friend maker. That is my day job. And explaining that to people, and I have to do a lot less explaining than I used to with my clients. They get it, they understand.
Right, right.
But your social media platforms are a two-dimensional version of you, of
Hmm.
who you are, the kind of friend that you can be, the kind of relationship that somebody should build with you. And so when people are constantly posting about their business, like buy my widget, buy my this, buy my that, like you're coming off as an ad. If you
Yep.
tried to do that same thing in person, like if you walked up to somebody and said the same things online, this is
Yes.
why networking is so important, because it teaches you the soft skills that you're going to need to translate into that digital space. I really do believe that if I hadn't networked so much,
Yep.
I wouldn't have approached social media the way that I did, which ended up being very valuable, very high value skill, not only for myself and for my business, but the reason that people pay me so much money to fly out to them to capture content, to do things like this, is because of the approach. Practice in person, and then remember, when you're online, behave like you would in person. And if
Yep.
you keep those two standards, it takes a lot of the friction of business away. It really does.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. I really like that a lot. You know, when you're out there in the in-person space, you're learning to shake hands and you're learning to ask people about themselves, and transferring that skill to social media and so on is invaluable because that's really what you're doing. You're trying to learn about your audience. And how
Hmm.
else are you going to learn about your audience unless you ask them?
Right. The minute that you decide that your social platforms are going to be used as a business tool, they're no longer in service just to you. Whereas if you're the kind of entrepreneur who decides, you know what, I'm not going to take advantage of this thing that is social media, fine, no worries. And for that person, they have the complete freedom to make their social media whatever they want to make it
Right.
and have it be completely one sided. But if you are planning to use it as a business tool and you are expecting some sort of business reciprocity to happen, you have to give first in order
Yes.
to receive second, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's that your social media doesn't really belong in service only to you anymore because you have this expectation that it's going to be some sort of exchange. It's not fair to expect that it's going to be some sort of exchange when you don't offer anything of value. And just so you know, and this is like total PSA, way off of travel, but we're here, so we might as well.
Might as well.
Lecturing people is not value. They don't need your 17 tips on how to do XYZ. That is not inherently valuable.
All right, that's good advice. I like that. You mentioned something a second ago as we were still talking about networking, about giving to your audience, giving to the people that you're networking with, just giving in general, and we talked about BNI a few minutes ago. I
Yep.
think that's their like number one canon to give. I forget what the phrase is, but it's, give before you receive, kind
Yep.
of thing, and that's what it's all about. And I would say that this goes over to marketing in general, but especially social media marketing. All right, let's talk a little bit more about travel because you're out there on the road a lot. You're doing work travel, you're traveling with your family, you're traveling with your three little ones.
Yeah. Well, yes, I've been traveling with them for a long time. They're not so little anymore. My oldest he's 17.
Oh, wow.
And my
Okay.
youngest is 11. We
In my
have been,
brain, you had three small kids.
yeah, no, they're not small kids. I mean, they were, and I would prefer if they still were, but they're not anymore. But we've been traveling with them their
Yeah.
whole lives. Yeah, my daughter, her first passport she got when she was 1. And I guess the boys would have been like 5 and 6
Okay.
when they got passports. And so they've got more stamps in their passports than I think a lot of adults
That
do.
most Americans do. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was hard, but it's kind of like anything. So my husband, his family, they're restaurateurs. They do the restaurant thing. Like if we wanted to see my husband, because he was a restaurant manager and he was the fix-it guy. So
Yep.
anytime one of the stores was doing poorly, that's where they sent him. And there were 9 across the front range. So it's like if we wanted to see dad, we had to go to dad.
Got
So
it.
my kids were in restaurants their whole lives. And so people would marvel about how well behaved they were in the restaurants.
Yes.
They're just in restaurants a lot. Like they have a lot of practice doing this kind of thing. And
Yes.
so they know how to behave doing these kind of thing. And I mean like behave relatively. It's like behave as much as a kid can. It's that they know the procedures. They know what's happening next. It's not chaotic because it's familiar to them. The same thing goes with travel. Like my kids, they know how to travel because we travel a lot. And so was it hard in the beginning? Yes.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be like big travel. Like, do they know how to travel in a car? The benefit of having, living in the Denver metro area, there was always a mountain getaway available at
Mm-hmm.
some point in time, right? So little micro trips. There's so many cheap flights. And yes, I know that they're cheap flights. It's like Frontier and Spirit, they're super cheap. But if it's like $50, fly somewhere for a day just so that they know how to behave on a plane. And it doesn't have to be anywhere crazy or exotic, but everywhere has a zoo. And so that was one of the things that we did. Like everywhere has a zoo. So we would go just kind of random places with the kids. And we would do family trips and they travel with me for work several times. Like, it's very rarely just me. Very rarely just me, especially anymore. They're so good at travel and they love going to new places. But if it very ever rarely just me, my husband and I, like, I took him to Costa Rica with one of my clients last January. It's like, yes, I would absolutely love to come film your retreat and make all of your social media posts and, all of your great content, but I'm not traveling internationally without my husband. That's not
Mm-hmm.
happening. It's like, oh, of course, absolutely. So it's like they pay for me, they pay for the husband, all of our hotel, all of the food, transfer to and from the airport, all of this. Plus, I'm being paid to be there. It's like,
Yep.
great, amazing, phenomenal. They don't cover the whole family most of the time, but
Sure,
with all the
sure.
points and everything and all of this kind of stuff, it works out so much better now.
Love
But
it.
I don't think that it would be that way if they weren't so good at it, because it would be a pain in the butt for me. It's like, I'm working, I don't need the stress on top of it, but they're so practiced at it.
Yep.
And that's just anything, right? Like, the more you do
Oh,
it, the better you get.
of course. I mean, just kids being in a restaurant. I took my wife to lunch yesterday, and as two restaurant people ourselves, we used to own a restaurant, and we were at lunch yesterday, and there's kids banging their forks together and screaming. People, don't do that. Don't let your kids do that. Come on.
Well, at the risk of completely pissing off a ton of people, I don't want to hear their iPad either.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
I don't want to hear their iPad. Like, one, I think they could go an hour without the iPad, touch some grass,
Yes.
lick a dirt, like, kiss a rock,
Or come on.
something, right? But
Headphones.
headphones,
Headphones.
headphones,
We were out to dinner
headphones.
a couple of months ago, and there's a family there. I mean, there was probably 10 of them at the table, and one of the kids was playing their, the games. So it's do 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 do, and we asked to move, because we couldn't take it anymore. It's
Yeah.
parents, stop letting your children do that.
It's being conscientious in community spaces. It's like,
Yes.
whatever you do inside your house, like, whatever.
Yes.
But when you're in a place where everybody is sharing this space, knowing how to share space well,
Mm-hmm.
that is what I'm talking about. Like, that
Yes.
is the life skill
Yes.
that traveling has given my children. They know how to share the world with the other people who live here. And
Yep.
this is why people compliment that, because that is a very important life skill for success.
Yep.
How well you can share the space with other people.
Teaching your children how to share space with the rest of the world, I think covers what we're talking about.
Yeah,
A
absolutely.
100%. 100%.
But the other one is ordering your Starbucks in the TSA line so that it's ready for you when you get there. That is the other one. Order it as you're on one side of TSA, and by the time you get through and your shoes on, and you should be good at that, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
We need like a practice area for the people who don't know how to take off their shoes.
And stop wearing your buckle boots to
This is what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah,
this is the kind
yeah.
of stuff that we need at school. We
Yes.
need taxes, how to open a checking account, how to write a check, how to get through TSA. That is what we really need inside of these public school curriculums, let me tell you. But the key is you order Starbucks on one side of TSA so that by the time you're all done, it's there, it's waiting for you. And you just walk up and you grab it. And
Well,
everybody
you
gives
know
you
what?
dirty looks because you don't have to stand in the line. So you have to be prepared
Right.
for the dirty looks. Got to have a little bit of a thick skin about it. But I'm drinking coffee already and they're not. So
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it on Pour and Explore. Order your Starbucks in advance while you're in the TSA line. I love that.
Yes. Yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, we met about a month ago and, we had a great conversation. We talked about a lot of different things. You're just having a lot of great time all over the world, doing some stuff in Texas. Talked a little bit about beautiful islands in Texas.
Yes.
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 Old Galveston Island.
Yes, that's where we live. And so it's a lot easier to feel like you're on vacation when you move to everyone else's vacation. That is
Yep.
another kind of like life hack. is if you are going to take the inherent risk of being an entrepreneur, because there is
Mhm.
risk, make sure that you're capitalizing on the rewards that come along with it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And again, that's like, don't build yourself a 9 to 5, but there are more rewards that come as the trade-off for the risk that you take on. And so for us, one of those things happened to be COVID happened. We transferred everything online really, really fast. It was really easy to do that in our former business that we sold.
Mm-hmm.
And realtors were knocking down our door. Hey, we want to buy this house. We have a client that wants to move into the neighborhood. They offered us an obscene amount of money. And at some point, it's like, when does it become financially irresponsible not to just like take the money and run, which is what we did. A little while after that, somebody came and offered us $20,000 more than what we thought was already unreasonable. So, like, recognizing opportunities and shifting because you can, I think, is also important. So we couldn't stay there. We would just buy our same house in a bidding war if we stayed there. So it's like, where are you going to go? And we picked somewhere that felt like vacation. And so we moved to a little 50,000 person island in the middle of nowhere, Texas. And we live 2.5 blocks from the beach.
Yep.
And my daughter gets to play professionally, like she gets to play mermaids professionally. Like their idea of traffic is getting stuck behind a golf cart. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
it used to be, and we talked about this, we didn't live in the best neighborhood, which was why I was really surprised that anybody wanted to buy my house. But
Okay.
it was still in a good school district. But we picked a different school. It was 30 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
So getting to school was a 30-minute process. Then picking them up from school, we would do another 30 minutes in traffic to get to our brick and mortar, the
Yep.
one that I paid all that money for, that the reason I didn't have a marketing budget. Okay. Then they would be at the office with us. That's where they did their homework, was at our office.
Mm-hmm.
And then like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, we would spend another 30 minutes to 45 minutes driving traffic back home from the office. Right. So you're talking like 2 hours a day on a good day.
Yep.
That they're sitting in traffic. That was when they were quite small. They don't know what that is anymore.
Yep.
They can remember it. Well, the boys can, my daughter can't. But it's just, we've given them a different life.
Yep.
We've given them a different childhood. And I'm quite happy with the childhood that we've been able to give them because of the choices that we made when they weren't convenient and they were very scary.
Yes.
But they were important. I think that's the thing, is like both my husband and I, we understood what was important and what wasn't.
Absolutely. And there are so many people out there, who are afraid to go into entrepreneurship for, whether it be financial reasons or, where they live, what family they're in, this, that, and the other. And there are a lot of reasons not to be an entrepreneur. But I would say, and I think you're supportive in this, is that there are a lot more reasons to go into entrepreneurship than the reasons not to.
Yeah, especially with the resources that we have available right now. Digital is the modern day gold rush.
Yep.
And I have a particular belief that everybody over the age of 30 has a 6-figure business that lives inside of their lived experience. And the reason that I believe this is because at some point in my 20s, I was standing at several different crossroads, but I was standing at least one crossroad in my 20s. Didn't know what direction to go. And I would have paid somebody almost anything to tell me what they wish they had known then, right? Like everybody has that. Everybody has if I knew then what I know now kind of experience. And with everything that we have available to us, you can take that experience, record it, put it into a course or an ebook or a webinar or something. And you can share with people what you know now. Like you can't go back and help yourself, but you can help the people who are standing at that same exact crossroad today that you were standing at 10 years ago. And having social media as a distribution, distribution connection platforms, there's never been this availability to do what people are doing now. For most people, you don't need to learn a new skill. You just have to document how you fixed a problem that you were facing. And the bigger the problem is, the more you can charge for it.
Yep.
Like, that's it. The bigger the problem, the more you can charge for it. But everybody has a six-figure business, or at least a $30,000 a year business, which is like, there's all your travel right there.
To the audience, the things that we're talking about here today, we're not talking about quitting your job and becoming an entrepreneur tomorrow. By no means is that what we're saying. Start a couple hours a week. If you can do 5 hours a week and then 10 hours a week, and then move it up. There are opportunities out there. I'm pushing 50 at this point, and I've been in the hospitality industry for so long that I can't even remember what life was like before being in hospitality. What I had to do to be where I am today, the host of a podcast and, doing online content, although it's not great, but I'm doing it,
Good job.
I thank you. I had to switch my thinking. I remember sitting down with my wife and saying, honey, I don't know how I'm going to do this. My job has always been sitting here, not across a screen, but across a counter, across a table, across a desk, and doing business like that. I had to flip a switch in my brain, to be able to do that. All of the 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds and even the 40-year-olds, to some degree, you've grown up with those digital platforms behind you.
Yeah.
So grab a hold of them and go make six figures telling your
Yeah.
story.
On the low end. I can't tell you how many six-figure businesses I've built because I just picked up a new skill.
Yeah.
I've been teaching myself AI for the last 18 months, and that's another
Yes.
six-figure business where,
Yeah.
oh, you don't know how to use AI? That's okay. I can teach you.
I will teach
And
you
I
how to
am.
do that.
It's totally worth it because it's just one other thing that I'm good at. That's like I've carved out this little pathway for money to reach my bank account.
Yes.
And the more of those you have, now don't try and carve them out all at once. That's a fallacy. That
That's
idea
very
that
good
the
advice.
average millionaire has 7 streams of income. Yes, but they started with one. Okay.
Yes.
They started with one, and then they built 2, and then they built 3, and then by the later you can have all 7. They didn't try and start all 7 at the same time. This is not, don't do that. But if you have a stable job, learn something else, start building a business there, and then maybe someday your business will pay you more than your job does.
Yeah.
And then maybe it'll pay you more than your job plus the 20% extra that you need for your own benefits. And then ditch the job and learn something else and build another one.
Learn something new. Absolutely.
Learn something new.
Continuing education. I did an interview on a podcast earlier today. It was a hospitality podcast, and we talked a lot about continuing education and, learn something. I mean, things are changing so quickly. The AI that we know today is not the AI that's going to be around in 6 months or a year or 5 years, so you have to keep up with all of that and that's putting your nose with the grindstone and learning it and keeping up to it. The wine business is ever changing, and I'm learning something new every day. I have to learn something new every day in order to stay up with it. So I love this advice.
Well, good.
All right, let's end on a more casual note. Now that we've dropped all of these business bombs on people, I want to finish with travel, but I want to hear what your favorite travel destination has been in your experience.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Munich, Germany.
Munich. All right. I didn't expect Munich. Tell me why.
Okay. So I had to go through the list. On the list was San Francisco 15 years ago. Love that place. I haven't been in a while. I heard it's got a little rough. So
I was just there a few
15
months
years ago, it was
ago.
great.
Yeah.
Boston, number 2. Okay,
Yep.
because I will pick destinations based on food.
Sure.
100% of the time. 100% of the time, I'm gonna pick destinations based on
My
food.
kind of gal, absolutely.
Yep. And we talked about this earlier. Like, I will pick a layover based on the kind of food that I'm gonna get. If I have to have a layover, I'm gonna pick based on the kind of food that I know I can get in that airport, which is why I'll never go to Charlotte. But Munich was the best travel experience that I've ever had. We spent 2 weeks in Munich, and it was just like outside of Munich. But where it is in southern Germany, in Bavaria, the food is amazing. Okay.
Yes.
Every day you're going down to the bakery to get your bread. The steak that you're eating that night comes from a ranch less than a mile and a half up the street. And it's because they use the train system for passenger and they don't allow semis to travel on the highways because it causes a lot of damage. So, like, moving things either by freight or by semi does not really happen there. So all of the food is local. We went during asparagus season. Like, look into it a little bit. I love asparagus. Not everybody, but they also, it's white asparagus. It's not
White
green
asparagus.
asparagus.
Yep.
Okay? But we went to an asparagus buffet. I swear they had asparagus 45 different ways and almost nothing else. So, like, make sure that you pick a season. We went at the beginning of May. We got there on May Day and we left 2 weeks after that. But it's the feeling that you have there. I've never been anywhere else that also felt like home when I was traveling. And it wasn't that I knew the railway system, and it's not that I was comfortable with the language, because the only thing that I really learned how to say is mein Deutsch ist sehr schlecht, which means my German is very bad. Okay. Oh, and nach einmal, which means I want another beer. Okay. That I also learned. Nach einmal.
Very important.
But other than those two things, it was the people. There's a competition. Okay, there's a competition to be the cutest little town in all of Bavaria every single year. And every year they get bragging rights if theirs is the cutest little town in all of Bavaria. It really does feel like a community. It feels like a community in a deeper way than I have ever experienced before. And so that's what made it my best travel experience. I was traveling, I was seeing new things, I was eating new stuff, I was doing all of like the fun that comes along with it without the homesick, the anxiety,
Yep.
the fish out of water feeling that you can get sometimes depending on where you go.
Sure.
And so that's why it was the best.
Wow, I love that story, and I'm going to lock that away. I've not been to Munich yet, but I've been to Frankfurt, et cetera, and then yeah, just absolutely. Germany's an amazing country.
I
Period.
love it. But it's a
Yeah,
very different vibe in northern Germany than it is in southern Germany.
it is. It is
Very different
absolutely.
vibe. If you go, there's a little town called Hausum, and that is like the best little town in all of southern Germany. And they have this it's like a local thing. They have these what are called Spitzbuben cookies. And it means little rascals. And what it is a like a cross between a shortbread
Mm-hmm.
and a sugar cookie.
Mm.
And it's a sandwich cookie. And they put some like tart jam in between the little sandwiches, and they give that a good dusting of powdered sugar. And it became the theme of the trip is that I had to, at every stop, every shop, to see which one had the best one. And the bakery in Hausum had the best Spitzbuben cookies of all of the 15 45 that I might have tried while I was
You
out
get your
there.
Spitzbuben journal out.
When you have those kind of details, that's how you can tell that it's like
Yes.
really, it was a good
Yeah.
experience.
If you can remember those little things, and that's what
Yes.
travel's all about. You know, we have cameras nowadays attached to our hips and we can remember, but the feelings and all of that stuff, just amazing advice. We're going to be in Germany in November, and we're doing a cruise along the Rhine. It's one of my wine cruises that I do. And
Yay!
I'm super excited to go. I've not seen that part of Germany. And I'm super excited about it. We're going to be in Cologne, Rudesheim. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm excited about
Yeah, when you get there, you just tell them knock einmal and they'll keep the drinks coming.
Bring us another beer.
They will keep the drinks coming for you.
Oh my goodness. Well, this has been such an awesome conversation. I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I had a blast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I absolutely loved this conversation with Christina because it wasn't just practical, it was personal. She's proof that building a business doesn't have to look a certain way. I believe that to the fiber of my being. Absolutely. You can do it all while raising a family, hopping on planes, filming TikToks, and still having the time to argue over the best bakeries in Bavaria. Say that 3 times fast. Here's what I hope that you take away from this. You don't have to wait until things are perfect to start something new. That's number 1. Number 2, you can design your life to include travel, include freedom, and include time with the people that you love. We're more flexible now than we ever have been as a workforce, and I really want that to sink in for you. And if your kids are melting down in public, pack a pair of headphones, please. If this episode sparked something for you, let us know. Snap a screenshot, share it on your social media page, tag both of us. Christina, she's at Kristina with a K, Rowland, Rowland. You're going to find that down here in the show notes. And of course, you know where to find me online. Those will also be in the show notes. And hey, if you're someone who's dreaming about working from anywhere, or if you already are, I want to hear your story. DM me or shoot me an email. Who knows? You might very well be my next guest on Pour and Explore. Until next time, keep the stories flowing and the wine pouring. And as always, keep wondering and wandering. Cheers, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Pour and Explore. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your stories, and your questions. So you can drop me a line at cheers@thewineguy.vin. That's cheers@thewineguy.vin. Or let's connect on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. Grab those links on my website at thewineguy.vin. Until next time, let's keep wondering and wandering. Cheers, everyone.